How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SOFI. You guys know how much I love this stock. When I was speaking about it on the channel, when it was below $14, I find that as an opportunity to pounce. Even at the $14 level, I was saying, hey, I don't mind adding to my position. I've talked about this a lot inside of the Discord. And also I put it on the morning watch list for today. And one of the members was able to trade off the momentum and make some good profits. I won't waste any more time. Let's just jump into the agenda. So if you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you are a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We've seen SOFI get a good amount of momentum, and we want to pay attention to some key levels. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and as well as the short interest information. We already know taking a look at the short volume ratio can have an impact on the overall stock price in regards to volatility, but we're going to look at it further and we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to look at the order flow distribution. We want to know were institutions loading up on shares today, because if that is the case, it does give us a bullish signal. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more key details as well. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for SOFI. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $16.84, being up 11.01%. On the low, it tested $15.61, and then on the high, testing $17.09. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 55.023 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days being at 29.83 million shares. So having this above average volume on the day was very helpful for the stock. As you can see, we had some good movement. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the 1-year daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, we're at 61.67. So when I was talking about loading up on SOFI, I've talked about this inside of the Discord as well. You want to take advantage when it's under $15 or where it's under $14. So we've been able to really build out some shares in these particular areas. So seeing this strong pop does put us in a really good position. I also did talk about previously in regards to the gap fill. So today we ended up filling in that gap quite nicely, and we ended up seeing a high of $17.09 before we started being hit with some selling pressure. But one thing to pay attention to, we want to see this $15.61 area actually hold up as support. We've seen in the past this was an area of resistance, but if we go even further, this was a support area as well. So I want to see that hold up towards the end of the week, and if it's able to do that, then of course I want to see us make that push and go actually a little bit more into that $17 range, and I'm talking about $17.30 to be exact. Getting to $17.30, yes, we will have some pressure, but if we have more buying coming into the stock, then we could easily make that move go into $17.50 and then look towards 18 from there. I'm not looking for this to happen by the end of this week. Sometime next week would be good, especially going into October. Most stocks are mainly bullish around that time. But again, this situation might be different with the conditions we have and how the market has been moving. But for the most part, I still believe in SOFI for the long term, and the price action that we saw today is a lot to be proud of. So pay attention to those area of support at 15.61 where we tested on the low, and also most preferably, let's see if we could hold up support right here around $16. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we could see here most recent, we have September the 13th, Attainra Partners that purchased 138,274 shares. Again, this is not the filing. They did not purchase it on the day of the 13th. I want to make sure I'm being very clear. We also have Jasper Ridge Partners on September the 10th that went in with 57,985 from their filing as well. And then also we could see here back near the ending of August, we have big positions here for Miller Opportunity Trust Class A that went in with just under 2 million shares. And we also have J&L Series Trust that went in with just under 1.3 million shares. So institutions have been loading up on SOFI. Now, when we take a look at the short interest information, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 13 minutes ago. And then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 0.54%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we could see for the close of the 20th, it was at 41.34, and then the close for yesterday on the 21st being at 32.98. So that is a significant difference there. So it'll be very interesting to see what it will be when the numbers come out later on in the evening. But one thing we do know for a fact, SOFI continues to have short squeeze potential. We tend to look for plays that have a short volume ratio of 21% or higher. And since SOFI satisfies that criteria, so if we end up getting any catalyst like the price target upgrade that we got today, then we could see some very strong moves in price action. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SOFI. So we could see on the inflow is at 191, and then on the outflow it was at 203. So we ended up having an outflow day. So we could see on the large we had 1.92, and then we could see on the medium it was 122, and then we could see on the small it was 67.14. When we take a look at the outflow side, you can see it was 0 on the large. On the medium it was 133, and then on the small it was 69.69. So what we can clearly see here, there was a lot of buying on the retail side when we take a look at the small scale orders, but we ended up having a surplus for the outflow side. So that tells me right away, as far as for retail, there was a lot of profit taking and there also was a lot of selling. Now, when we take a look at the medium sized orders, we could see for the outflows, a lot of selling. But now, when we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, we could see institutions loaded up on shares being at, we already talked about it, 1,924.41, of course, coming to that total of 1.92 million. So taking this into consideration and also taking a look at the fact institutions loaded up on the 17th and as well as the 21st, which was yesterday, does show, as far as for SOFI is concerned, things are looking really good. There is a lot of demand for shares. And this is part of the reasons why you want to make sure you have a solid entry. When I was talking about SOFI, I was saying, hey, I feel it was a good buy being under $14 or even in the $14 range. So of course, if you've been doing your homework and as well as your due diligence, this is no surprise why we are seeing momentum in the stock, especially since it has been beaten down. So now let's jump into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for SOFI, it was great to hear when the analyst came out today from Jefferies with that $25 price target. We ended up having a very strong move at the open, and you could tell by the smile on my face, I was excited about it. Also, I did talk about it in the daily morning watch list, and one of the members was able to trade off of this play and made a good 10%. So what I want to say and what I want to be clear about here, having a game plan can get you far, especially when you're trading inside of these markets. So that's why I'm always emphasizing that fact. Also, doing your homework and doing your due diligence, you'll be able to find some good companies where, hey, even though the stock has been beaten down and it looks like there's some potential and it does get some attention inside of the market, then hey, you can look forward to seeing strong spikes like we've been seeing. But of course, SOFI has been a trader's paradise. This stock fluctuates a lot. And at the end of the day, it is a growth stock, so that is to be expected. And that's part of the reasons why, as far as for a long-term position, when it was in the $13 range, I thought this was a good area to add, and as well as into the low 14s. Now, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, SOFI does have short squeeze potential. Unfortunately, it was categorized heavily as a meme stock, so it still has a bit of that reputation on it. But the good thing about it is, if you have a lot of buying pressure coming into the stock, you could see some very strong moves in overall price action. Another thing, when we were taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see a lot of institutions were loading up on SOFI as well, going in with some sizable positions. And like I was saying in the Fintel section of the video, those particular positions were not taken on the date of the filings. They were done previously, and I want to make sure I'm being very clear about that. Also, taking a look at the order flow distribution, there's been a lot of institutional interest here. So keeping that in mind, if we see institutions continuing to purchase up shares, then of course this looks fairly bullish. And as far as for SOFI is concerned, I do believe it's a solid company, and it's part of the reasons why I do hold shares for the long term, but I'm very smart when it comes to adding to my position. I refuse to add to my position when the stock is trading at highs or trading in an area that is far from my cost average. If it decides to move up even more, then hey, I'm comfortable with my position overall. I do not chase, and I do not believe in having FOMO, and I'm hoping that you are able to actually adopt a similar strategy, because this is how you end up dominating inside of the stock market, while at the same time limiting your downside risk. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.